spending some time this afternoon with David Renz, who is a candidate for the House of Representatives, District 4, and we certainly appreciate you letting us come out, David, and talk with you today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You know, this gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about who you are, some of the views that you have, and I know that our community will be delighted to hear from you. First, I'd like to know why you have chosen to run.
Well, I've always been really involved with my community, and recently I've been involved at the state level also. And I was put on the City-County Merger Commission, and that has really tied me in with the city. And I've just decided that if I was going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about your background. You're from Dalton.
I'm from Dalton. I lived here most of my life. I'm a product of Dalton Public Schools. My wife's a teacher here at Dalton Public Schools. My daughters are a product of Dalton Public Schools, so we've been here. A member of First Presbyterian Church. I've always been involved with local nonprofits. I've been on the Creative Arts Guild. I've been the United Way Board, the campaign chair in 2006. I've worked with the American Heart Association. Recently, my biggest thing now is the Boys and Girls Club. I was a charter member of it, and I'm now presently the chief volunteer officer of the Boys and Girls Club over 8 clubs in 3 counties.
Right. So you're so involved in the community. We see you out in so many different areas, and I know that that is very important for you as well, to be very involved in the community.
Well, I enjoy doing it. All this is nonprofit. It's what I do for my funds. So,
right.
Even though I'm being paid for the state job, it's not enough to cover the expense, so it's still like a public service.
Right. And I know that as a small business owner, that has also some advantage for you. Tell me a little bit about what that gives you in this campaign.
It does. I think in the legislation, knowing how a small business owns and operates, it's just good to be a first-hand person, know what it's like to have to meet a payroll. It can be tough, but I think we're trying to getting back to the basics. Let's get common sense back in our legislation.
Now, also, as we talked a little bit earlier, you are incredibly involved in the community and the children's groups in the community, and I know your wife is an educator as well. What does that give you, or what type of perspective does that give you in the education realm?
Well, I've learned a lot about education from K-1 to the senior highs, and I've really learned that early education is very important, and we've got to get that in Dalton. It's not just the school system, we've got to also educate the parents. A child's brain, the stimulation it has between 2 and 4, it just absorbs so much energy. And we've got to really work with our kids at a younger level, make sure they do get to pre-K. Kids learn to read to 3rd grade, and after 3rd grade they read to learn. So if our kids get to the 3rd grade and can't read, we're going to have a problem with them from there up. I've learned that. Right,
exactly. I know that health care is also very, is the forefront right now, and it's a big concern. What views do you have that you feel that you can do as a state representative?
Well, there's not a lot we can do at state representative because this is a federal level issue. I know we do need a lot of help in our health care situation, local, state, and federal. We've got some great conservative legislators in Washington, D.C., and I'd just like to support them in whatever they want to do. But that's something that we've got to work on. It needs fixing.
Right.
But I don't have the answer. If
right.
I did, I'd be in Washington.
That is a very high topic at this point. What about as a state representative? It's rather hard to sometimes balance politics with serving your community. How do you feel about that?
Well, I hope I'm very tied in with my community, with my constituents, and of course I would do whatever they wanted to do. A lot of issues, you've got people that are on both sides and they're both right, and sometimes you've got to pick the right of the two. Sometimes you've got to agree to disagree. But we all have to look at everything from both sides and just try to be a good mediator.
How do you feel about, obviously you've been very busy in the campaign and civic engagements. What do you like most about what you've been doing in this campaign?
I guess the biggest thing is a lot of friends of mine have come back from childhood, college day. It's been very humbling. People have thanked me for running for the position. People give me money without me asking for it. I mean, I've never issued. I've raised a lot of money for United Way and the Arts Guild and the Boys and Girls Club, but never for myself. So I'm still not asking for it. It's just coming, and that has been very humbling and gratifying.
I think that, as we talked earlier, community sees you as being so involved and a servant, and I think that's is a calling.
I think so too. And I've always done it, and I've enjoyed doing it. So I'm just going to try to do it at a higher level.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the principles that would guide you in voting or creating legislation?
Well, I think all of us, whether it's our church or our schools or our homes, we all have to get back to the basics. Common sense seems to be thrown out the window. We've tried to work with common sense issues, just get back to the basics, and it's not that complicated a lot of times. Let's just keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. Simple seems to be a key word.
Yes, it gets eliminated a lot.
How do you feel about being, I guess, the most rewarding campaign? I think we just talked about that. I guess one of the questions I would ask if someone's out in a viewing audience watching this, why would someone vote for you?
Well, I think the main reason is that I am so connected. I've got my finger on the pulse of this community. Being tied in with United Way alone is tied to 24 agencies, which I'm tied to through that. I just feel like I've got my finger on the pulse of this community, and I know what they think, I know what they want, I know what they need. Mm-hmm. And I think I can take that to Atlanta. Then also, if I see opportunities in Atlanta, I can bring back to Dalton. I think that's the biggest thing. I know Dalton is a great community. We're a little off because of our carpet industry being a one-horse town. We've got to diversify, and in doing that, I think I can find something. If we can just get one little spark here back in Dalton, I think it'll really help our economy. And that's the main thing. We need jobs here.
Right. Any final words you'd like to say before our time is up here today, or talk with the audience?
No, I'd just like to say, please come out and vote. That's the main thing. We've got 58,000 people in our district. We've got 21,000 registered voters, and we may have 3,000 or 4,000 people come out and vote. That's really not good. And the silent majority has got to wake up and come to the forefront. And this is the time to do it. Let's start at a local level and work our way to Washington.
Great. Well, I want to say thank you so much for letting us be here with you and find out a little bit more about you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks,
you.
Judy.